Hello guys, in today's video I'm going to take us through this Christmas vintage junk journal to illustrate 5 tips for making the world of junk journaling a happy, easier and maybe more confident place for us to play in. If you've seen my previous videos, I definitely don't get all my crafting right, if there is a right, but by having a go and applying a few simple guidelines, I've found a delightful place in which to indulge my passion for paper. So if this sounds like a good place for you to be, hit the subscribe button and that little notification bell because I've got lots more videos and projects to come. My first suggestion is to make a really clear decision about your colour palette, your style of journal, the theme and clearly the size of journal that you want to make. And in this one I chose to make a vintage style, and the colours therefore that I wanted to use were muted, but I did want a flash of some more traditional greens and reds. And my other suggestion at this stage is to start by making your cover and allow that to influence your mood as you then pick papers and fill it out. So rather than creating content and then adding a cover, my approach is to get my cover made and then pick papers that go with it. So here, right at the front of the journal, what I've done is continued that theme of muted greens and something botanical, the Christmas theme. I've made some ephemera and I've tucked those in a pocket, and I've carried on using some of the papers that I used on the cover. In fact, if I show you, as I normally do in these videos, some of the supplies that I've used, this page comes from A Concise Guide in Colour Herbs, which is a lovely little book with lots of pages of beautiful illustrations of herbs with a page of description about each. And it's a fantastic little book for putting in your journals for many months of the year, and I think it suits many different themes. So it's not particularly a Christmas book, but I just grabbed a page from that which had something around the Christmas colours, and I've made the vintage theme a little clearer by using a really old stamp here. So it has text on it, and I've stamped using a Kaleido ink pad which has a bit of an ombre effect of ink pads there, but in beautiful autumn leaves colours, and then I've chalked over the top. So I started with the cover and I had a really clear idea about the colour palette, the style, the theme and the size that I wanted. My second suggestion is really to look at your stash and be very creative in how you use your materials. And I say that because I know that many of us have modest budgets, supplies can cost a lot, and yet what we do have can be used in many different ways. So I don't particularly have a great big stash of vintage papers, but I use old books, and where they're just black and white, what I have been doing is making my own vintagey style papers by either using my paints to bring some of those older colours in, or in the way that I've described in some other videos, I've been chalking the pages. So I use this set of muted colours, browns and oranges and reds, to shade on the pages to give them a little bit of that distress colour. So here's an example of a page where I've been adding both paint and chalk, and I just experiment to see how I can get something that looks like an aged effect. The other thing I've done is look at some of my papers and really see the detail so that I can make best use of them. So on this pocket, I've made it out of paper which, I don't know if you can see, but it has a wood style effect. So I thought that would be particularly nice to carry on with this botanical natural theme, and so I used that. And I have also, let me pick another example, I've also embellished this little black and white page, put a bit more of the paint on there. You can see the chalk behind, and in fact I've stamped on that. So look at what you've got, make the best of it, and just have a go at using things in different ways. And my third point, which I guess I'm touching on already, is make your own ephemera. It's lovely to be able to go shopping for old pieces of paper, for distress paper, for photos, for vintage album style content. But where we're limited, it's nice to be able to create tags of our own. And again, I've touched this up with paint. I just stuck some pages from an old encyclopedia onto some cardstock, and I've added that in there, and I really enjoy making tags actually. That's a project I really like doing. I've pulled pages out of really old books and stamped on them, and that's a stamp from an Anna Griffin collection of stamps that I have. What else have we got in here? So a different type of tag, again using old cardstock that came from some box in the kitchen I think, and I've stuck paper onto the tag. I've painted on that. I've added a little bit of pretty scrapbook paper and some washi tape. And as long as you keep to some sort of colour tone, I think there's probably more in your stash than you think that you can use that's fit for purpose in a particular style and theme of journal. On the middle page on this one, I've also made good use of an old children's book. So I thought with the Christmas theme, I would bring this out in the middle page spread. So I've just cut that down, chopped it down to fit, and I'll preserve most of that picture I think in this journal, because although it's got a lot of blue in, I think it goes with the Christmas theme. So making best use of everything that you've got, stealing little pieces from my scrapbook paper supplies, just really enjoying bringing together a diverse set of supplies to make something that is very much you, and enjoying that as you do it. The fourth tip I've got, and this really is a personal thing, is I found that I like to make chubby little journals. So there's something about squidge factor. So the way that I suggest that's done to make life really simple and easy is, for me, I just put one signature in, and I tend to go for about 12 or 13 sheets of paper. So let's say 24 pages, and then those are obviously two-sided. I get that in, and my tip is to then pad it out with belly bands, with pieces of paper that you can fold out. So here I've added an extra page. I didn't particularly like the page that I'd originally put in, so that's stuck down and makes it thicker. And this is just a fold out I found from an encyclopedia with a mistletoe bush, so that felt quite Christmassy. Here I've got a tip in of a rusty brown patterned page. I felt that that went with the kind of vintage Victorian style of Christmas journal. I've got extra pockets that I've added. So all the way through, I've been really enjoying stuffing the pockets with little bits and pieces, adding extra tags, creating little pieces of paper with nice rounded corners to go in the pockets to journal on. So here's an example of a deep red piece of card that I've used to create a belly band, and as I fill out the journal I can stuff a few pages in there. So my suggestion, and this is just what works for me, is make something that is a reasonable size to begin with, that isn't too deep for the signature, for the spine, but I like to stuff it with lots of stuff and have a really chubby little journal. And my last suggestion is all about having fun, experimenting, seeing the positive in what you do, and allowing yourself to consider that you might fail or you might get it wrong if you put some pieces together. But in fact, everything we do is there, I think, for us to enjoy and have fun. If we get something that's not quite right, then we learn from it, and I think it's important to just feel free when you do it, have fun, have a go. Sit back and be honest about whether something is better this time than last time, but move forward, and just share what you're doing as well. Talk to others, look at what they're doing, bring their ideas in and adapt in your own way, but really just sit back and give yourself the credit for creating some beautiful paper-based products and journals. I hope you've enjoyed my little walk through my suggestions, my personal tips for how to make a simple junk journal and how to make life super fun, easy and happy in this journaling place. If you've enjoyed it, please do give this a thumbs up. It really helps me to know what you like and what you don't like. And come back next week when I'll be back with another project and some fun ideas indulging our passion for paper. Bye.